been great. Finals week is hard. The last set of finals, I'm trying to get this right. I don't know my days. And today's Monday. It was Saturday. 7 guys took finals Saturday from 12 to 3. Now we're done. So they were real good. They've been good all week, but then we ratcheted up practice yesterday and today, and they were as engaged as they've been all year. So it's fun to see, and the next 4, 5 weeks or so will basically determine who we become as a basketball team because of the fact that there's no students on campus, so there's no distraction socially. There's no classes, so all the attention can be paid to basketball. The 20-hour rule, we can watch a lot more film. Not everyone thinks it's just about being on the court and running. You get to watch a lot more film with these guys because you're not limited to the amount of time. So the next month or so will really determine who we will become as a team.
And Frank, with that, is it easy to keep the guys focused considering that it's just them on campus and there's really nothing else to do? Or do you find them maybe fighting the feeling of getting burned out a little by being here all the time?
I'm sure 3 years ago when we had nothing but freshmen and sophomores in there, they missed home and they missed sitting around and doing nothing for 3, 4 weeks. But we all know what we sign up for, and anyone that wants to be on vacation in December shouldn't play basketball. We get a little break, about a four-day break, right around Christmas, where everyone gets to go home and eat and not do anything. But outside of those 4 days, it's the time of year where every team's different and every team's going to handle things a certain way, and you can't expect everyone to be the same. But in my career, our teams have always gotten a lot better at this time of year because we spend a lot of individual time with players on helping them understand things better, how to do little things a little bit better, watch film, so we get better because of those things.
Kind of along the same lines, did you kind of start with that this past week when you had a little bit more time to focus in on those little things?
Yeah, Brian, everything we did during finals week was offensive-minded. Defense is hard. Defense is stressful for everybody because you have to figure out a way to not let the other people beat you. So what we did is we didn't go as long because we didn't spend any time on our defensive stuff, but we spent a lot of time on our team offensive concepts to get people to better understand and more repetitions. And so everything was low stress from that standpoint. But the last 2 days, we've re-engaged our defensive philosophies and broke it down. And so practice has gotten ratcheted up a little bit, and they've been great the whole time.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Scott Greenawalt and the impact he's made on your program, and if you could cite maybe some specific transformations you've seen in some of the guys over the years in working with him.
Yeah, it's when Eric Hyman and I spoke about the job, I told him he don't come, I ain't coming. It's plain and simple. It's he is by far, hands down, the best strength coach in college basketball, and there's a lot of good ones out there, but what he does with guys is unbelievable. All our players, they're older. They've been in his, in his program. They've learned how to eat. They've learned how to train their bodies. So we're stronger. And in life, the stronger you are physically, the stronger you get mentally. It goes hand in hand because to get stronger physically, that means you got to challenge your body. That means your mind gets challenged because you got to deal with some difficult stuff. And then it's like stress in life. If you run away from stress, then you're never going to handle stress. Well, it's the same thing. It's, in the off season, we stress our players' bodies. And to get them to stress their bodies, you're also stressing their minds. And by stressing their minds, it makes them stronger. But the guys, Scott's invaluable. I mean, there's not a level of importance that you can put as to what he means to us. I mean, you can't count to that number. I truly feel strength coaches are the most important people in a program because they get to spend the most time with the athletes year-round.
With Drexel, I know you've heard this before, another fifth-year senior guard that can really shoot the three, but what else does he bring it with obviously being 6'7"?
Yeah, I'd like to play a team with freshmen, like a couple of years ago, everybody that played us played a bunch of little guys. I'm dying to play a team that's got nothing but freshmen, It just seems that everyone we play has a bunch of older guys, and that's good. That's the way it needs to be. Drexel's had to reinvent themselves because their team was this team plus Damian Lee, who's the third leading scorer in the country, I believe, at 25 a game. That was, when they're in the middle of summer school, that's the team that Bruiser Flint envisioned having together. That makes them very good. So in the middle of summer, you find out that you're losing that guy, and it's too late to go recruit anybody else. So you've got to kind of figure it out with the guys in place. So now different guys have had to accept different things. And I think early in the year, I struggle speaking about other people's teams because I don't know what they're going through. But from watching film, early in the year, they were kind of tentative as to who should do what. They still play hard as heck now. That's Bruiser's trademark. Not too many teams play harder than his teams. But their last game out against LaSalle, he made some lineup changes, and they went into LaSalle and beat LaSalle 15 at LaSalle. I started seeing a team that's trying to figure out a little better as to who's going to do what and who's accepting what role and what challenges. And you don't get better as a team until guys figure that stuff out. And I think they're starting to figure it out. So I understand what the record is. I saw it, but I also break down film. And they're a completely different team now than they were November 15th or whenever the season started.
I know you mentioned it at the beginning, but how much do you stress the importance of these next couple of games before you get into SEC play in January?
Yeah, I'm not one. Some people kind of look at a schedule and they say, okay, that's going to be hard. That one's not that hard. Maybe it's because I'm just that guy that nothing easy's ever come my way. I don't look at any game and think it's more important than the other game. I think if we're lucky enough to get a chance to play a game, that's the most important game that we've ever played. So we keep our mind there. We got to figure out a way to get through Drexel, and then after Drexel, obviously Clemson. And I know Clemson means a lot to our community, our fans, the in-state attention. I understand all that. I get it. We'll deal with that when the time comes. But after the Clemson game, the most important game we've played all year is St. John's. And we just got to stay there. We can't put more value on one game than another game. It all needs to stay to the next day, the next day, the next day. And we'll deal with the games as they come. We play hard and consistently with the way we've played the first 4 weeks of the season. We'll give ourselves a chance to win the next game on the schedule. Whether we do or don't is not going to impact the day after that. We have to make sure that this next month we can maximize who we're going to become. And that doesn't mean that the season ends January the 7th, 8th, whatever the students get back on campus. It just means that once school starts again, we only get 20 hours a week. So it's hard to get a lot better through practice other than the little things that you can do.
We had an opportunity to speak with Chris Silva last week, and as someone who has coached high schools and has had several international players, it sounds like a really intimidating prospect when he comes over here at 15, doesn't know anybody, doesn't know the language. Do you have a feel for what that kind of assimilation is like, and is he still even going through it now in college to a certain degree?
Yeah, it's Michael Carrera. It's the same thing Michael went through. Clemente and Colon, the guys that played for me at K-State, that never goes away. You're missing home. That never goes away. I'm going to take a stab at this right now, but Michael's been in the country 3 years of high school, 7 years. I want to say in 7 years he's gone back to Venezuela 3 times. So that means if his family hasn't come here, he's only been home 3 times in 7 years. You never get over not being able to go home. You miss that. Chris goes through the same things. That's why it's so important in the recruiting process when we recruit people like Michael or Chris, that we stay genuine as to what we tell them in the recruiting process, that we're going to treat them like they're our own family. And not just me, I mean our whole staff and our players. And I think that's what we've done. And because of that, then the guys like Mike and now Chris, they kind of take a certain level of comfort that we're in this together and that we're here to help you. And regardless of how you play, we're still going to be there for you the next day. And I think that's comforting to them. And that's why they enjoy their experience. At least that's been my communication with the guys that I've had in the past.
Staying with the newcomers, now 8 games into the year, since we had a chance to talk to them last week, do you feel like on your end that all of them are accepting the roles, getting the roles that you kind of expect them to get at this point in time, or is that still an evolving process?
It's still an evolving process. And I kind of with my own son, I talk to him all the time, with his own high school team. I say, I'm not going to talk to you about your high school team. That's between you and your coach. But you've got to figure out what your coaches want from you and need from you, and you got to become the best at that you can be. That doesn't mean you can't stop growing as a player, but you got to do that. And it's the same thing with our guys. As young guys, every one of them was a star on their high school team. And now they're having to figure out how to adapt to a different role. That's not something you just get out of bed and say, okay, let's do this. It takes time. I'll tell you this, them being done with exams, them freshmen have been as good as they've been since late October in practice the last 2 days. I just think there's a certain stress level that they just get bogged down. I don't know what they told you guys. I don't know what questions you guys asked them. But I guarantee you every one of them, if you ask them, they'd say, I've never practiced this hard in my life. If that's what I guarantee you that's what they tell you, because that's what they tell me. They've never had to deal with so many tutors and their schedules from sun up to 10 o'clock at night every single day. The pressure of playing well in practice, forget games. It's never been that great. And I think now that academically that semester's over, I think them freshmen will be able to kind of regather their marbles a little bit and grow into better players within those roles. But that's where the upperclassmen come into play. That's where Mike and Sendarius and Mendogas and Lamo and Dwayne and Justin, that's where they come into play. They have to be real good at their roles and then help them freshmen at the same time.
The school just went through a pretty lousy football season and a coaching change. So the sports fans that follow the Gamecocks have been kind of down in the dumps. Basketball teams, yours and Dawn's, you're undefeated, the only combo in the country like that. Do y'all feel any like a responsibility, or do you feel like the two teams, the basketball programs, can kind of lift the Gamecock fans' spirits, considering what they went through, the travails of the football season and the changeover from Spurrier to Muschamp?
Phil, men's basketball, has been irrelevant around here in the fans' perspective, whether the football team won or lost, for a long time. We've got a certain energy that we've tried to work real hard to build within the program to get people excited about it. I hope that's something that continues to go. I've said it from the first day. My responsibility is to give this school a basketball program that it deserves, like the one that it's had in the past and like the other programs in our school that go out and compete, like Dawn has elevated her program to compete for championships. You look at our school, whether it's golf, track, tennis, soccer, just figure out equestrian, they're all competing for championships, and to our fans, we take things for granted sometimes. We just, I was lucky. I was here for, my first 3 years. Football can line up and beat anyone in the country for 3 years. Went through a little bad patch here. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And I think that's the great thing about that I've learned about this school is that them fans are with you, and they're going to fight for you if we do our part. And I've learned that, and I'm seeing it firsthand with our program. You know, you've heard me say it. We went from 3,000 people the first time I ever walked out of that tunnel to averaging 11.5, 6, whatever it is last year. And it's not like we've won a championship in the last 5 years now. You know, that's 8,000 just on average, 8,000 more than the first game we ever played here for a team that won 17 games. So we got to keep building it. And our jobs, whether football wins 13 or unfortunately wins 3, our job is to make our sport relevant, to make sure that everyone that's around it is proud of our team and proud of our guys and the way that we try to do things. And that's what we're trying to do. And I'm a fan, too. I'm a fan, too. It pained me to see what football went through this year. But I also know the people I work for, and I know their enthusiasm and their energy, so I'm excited about the direction that this university will continue to go in. And we got to keep doing our part. You know, I love watching Dawn practice. I love watching her team play. I think what they've done is incredible, and that motivates us to have to do our job better because we're not competing with them. We're not competing against them. We're competing with them. She's building basketball, and it's our job to help build it just like she is. So our community and our alums and our students all, you know, feel good about our school and our basketball programs. I don't know if I answered your question, and that would have sounded good.
Frank, looking ahead to next year, CD Quedo was in town this past week playing at the Bojangles. You got a chance to see him. Just what can he bring to this program, and would you classify him as a defense-first player?
If you saw the game that he played the other day, yeah, you were there, Dave. I saw. Right now, he wants to shoot threes, and the ball comes out of his hands clean, and that's a skill. That's because he learned to play the game as a 6'2" guy. He's trying to not to reinvent, but he's trying to figure out how to play like a 6'9" guy now. And that'll come. But his intangibles, his ability to run, his ability to catch the ball, his ability to pass, to shoot, those are there. He has athleticism because he was a 6'2" guy. He was always out there guarding guards. So his ability to move his feet side to side, you know, he's light on his feet for a 250-pound guy. You know, I think Ceedy has a chance to be a stud. To just, you know, just the natural instincts that he has for the game. I think he's going to be real good. You know, and I've got to help him once he gets here to learn how to play closer to the basket. He'll block shots and he'll rebound. That's not an issue. He never backs down. But he still floats out to the three because it's the way he grew up playing the game. And that's okay. He shoots it okay. So we're going to have somebody that we have to understand how to utilize his talents at what they're at right now, but also help him expand on where I think he can become a real good player. And, you know, but there's some guys now that are defensive guys that can't catch, can't shoot. He can catch and he can shoot. So it's a matter of helping him grow into the player that he's supposed to be.
You say all the time, you and your team, you guys understand what you signed up for. But when you've got guys like Silva and Carrera who are a long way away from home, and freshmen like PJ who's never experienced anything like this, when it's this time of year and they see all the student body going home for the break, but they're having to be here working each and every day, how difficult is that for you to kind of, I guess, instill in them that, you know, they got to understand this is what they're here for?
Yeah, it's that's where as coaches you got to give them attention outside of basketball. You know, you can't just show up and talk to them about the down screen and the pick and roll, and as soon as practice is over, all right, see you tomorrow. Good luck. You know, you have to engage in things to do with them, and you know, little things such as like when we go to Connecticut, we're traveling a day earlier than we usually travel, so we can spend more time together rather than everyone just on campus where there's no one around in the same dorm room. Just little things like that, we'll do. We'll probably find time to socialize, whether it be at my house or another coach's house or a movie theater or something, after the Christmas break. You have to engage in things to make them understand that they're sacrificing a lot, that you appreciate their sacrifices, and at the same time that they mean a little bit more to you than just to score the game. And I think that's something that you work on all the time, and it's a communication factor. And I did a real bad job of that when I first got here. I didn't do that. My first year and a half here, I was so consumed with improving the program and the community, with our fans, with our student body, with the media, that I didn't pay as much attention as I needed to the guys. And over the last year and a half, I've kind of refocused myself to, listen, Frank, if you don't pay attention to your guys, you can talk to all those people all you want. It's a dead-end conversation. And I think we're in a better place because of that, and that's why the upperclassmen are as engaged as they are right now. And but that's always a concern with freshmen, not so much with Mike. Mike's been through it for X number of years now, high school and college, so he's more prepared. But them freshmen that are going through it for the first time, it's important that we all understand that dynamic in their life right now.
Kind of on those external things. Last week there was a great turnout at the Columbia Tipoff Club. How important, is it for you to get all those former Gamecocks involved, obviously, but at the same time to see them buying in and getting more people involved as well?
Yeah, that's grown in the last 3 years. It's grown, the amount of people, the folks that showed up in year one are still showing up, but now we've got another group of people that have been signing up little by little, and it's great. It continues to show me just that what we do is very important to a lot of people around here, and that there's people that are dying for our sport to be relevant again, and it reinforces to me that I think folks respect how our guys go about their business in the community, on the court, the way they represent themselves in this university every time that they put that uniform on. People don't sign up unless they respect how the teams play, and I think that's happening. And hopefully it's something that our guys, as they continue doing more and more, we get more and more doing the tip-off clubs and all those different functions that are out there that engage our fans with not just our staff, but the staffs of the other teams, which is the beauty of conference basketball. It's you really learn a lot about other players, other coaches, not just your own.